the new TV deal for Ben Shalom and Boxer. He was obviously on talkSPORT yesterday talking about this extensively. This is what he had to say.
It was something that I didn't think would be possible. It was something that we dreamt of doing, was bringing boxing back to primetime BBC. I think it's been 25 years.
Is it?
And it's what you want from the sport. You know, it's how the sport develops, it's how it grows, it's how it creates the household names. This sport of boxing is sort of taking over at the moment. I think the younger audiences as well, they're all engaging. But for us, it's how do we get it in front of the biggest possible audience? And I have to thank everyone. I have to thank the BBC because, you know, for them, this is a monumental move to put, as I say, world-class boxing on primetime television.
And if you like sport, Saturday nights is the day, isn't it? To stay in and boxing on just before match of the day.
It is. So everything all week will be shown on the BBC iPlayer, and then we'll have the best slot I think you could possibly ask for. A couple of 2.5 hours leading into match of the day, multi-fight, multi-year deal. So I think obviously it's amazing for us and myself and Boxer and the fighters, but I genuinely believe for the sport it's a historic moment for boxing, and we're always competing for eyeballs with other sports. We're always wanting to be on the front pages, and this puts us firmly in the front page.
Ben Shalom there on talkSPORT yesterday, talking through about Boxer's new TV deal. Obviously, they were with Sky. That wasn't renewed. And now they move forward with this. And he's right. Absolutely groundbreaking move to have boxing back on what we would class as traditional television. 25 years ago was the last time that the BBC were involved in the sport of boxing. You were about then, weren't you, mate?
I was.
Covering the Audley Harrison stuff.
I was. Audley had won the gold medal in the super heavyweight division at the Sydney Olympics. He'd come home. He'd signed a deal with the BBC at the time, and this is where boxing began and stopped with the BBC at that point. It stopped rather than began. The BBC had shown boxing for years and years. Audley Harrison signed a 10-fight deal. I'd covered all 10 fights. He got $1 million for it. But the mistake that at the time Mike Lewis, who was one of the controllers of sport on the BBC, made was they allowed him to choose, rather than have an agent having their own agent choosing his opponents. Or a matchmaker, he was allowed to choose his own opponents. They included at the time people like Dominic Negus, Julius Lloyd-Long, Mike Middleton, Derek McCafferty, Piotr Jurczyk. But there were journeymen, bin men, strippers, guys who dragged out of a nightclub, doormen. So he was able to pick whoever he wanted. And I can remember going to Olympia in Liverpool for Wade Lewis. I think it was about his 7th. My memory, yes, it was his 7th fight of those 10 fights. He was booed in, Audley Harrison, and he was booed out. And as you know, Audley wasn't an all-action fighter. He was 6'8" tall.
He was made for the amateur game.
He was made for he was a fencer, exactly. He had a great big shell about him. He was impossible to beat over 3 or 4 rounds. But when he was in the pro game, and I hope he forgives me for saying this, I knew him a long time, that he didn't have...
It's a different sport.
He didn't have the requisite skills or tenacity to be a heavyweight champion of the world. Who was his last fight?
Was it not David Hay? Was it David Hay?
It was Deontay Wilder. Believe it or not.
Was it?
His last fight was Deontay Wilder at Sheffield Arena. Yep, he lost by TKO in the first round. Oh, the David Hay, he lost to David Price.
Yeah.
And he lost to David Hay in a, I think, I'm pretty sure that Audley Harrison was promoted by Eddie Hearn at the time. It was a big event. But he showed no heart against David Hay. It was a real letdown.
No.
But basically, the bottom line is, that caused a lot of kickback.
25 year. That's a 25-year absence,
and that's what stopped boxing on the BBC. They felt like they'd been. Certainly, the media story at the time, the media spin was that Audley Harrison caused the BBC to pull out of boxing.
Yes,
that's been the storyline for a long time.
Off the back of that, you then have the Sky boom. Brilliant, fantastic rise
Frank
of
Warren,
Sky.
and then Eddie Hearn,
absolutely.
yeah.
And then you have the match
pay-per-view.
All those types of things. I know that on what we would class as traditional platforms, you've still got Channel 5 that obviously work with Wasserman and they put a few things on there, don't they?
That do numbers as well.
They do. Channel 4 have had a little go at it. You've got ITV that have flirted in, but the BBC getting involved with this. My takeaways for this are It's really interesting now if you're a young fighter, and I say young fighter because I think this is going to come down to where you're actually at in your career, and what you actually want to be achieving,
what you can get out of it.
Yes,
the platform.
I don't know the numbers and the intricacies of what the BBC will provide boxer in order to put fights on and obviously pay fighters. That I think this is going to be raised from ticket sales and sponsorships from a boxer point of view, because they do have the platform, which is going to be very attractive to very, what you would class as blue chip sponsors. I think if you're a young fighter now, you've got to weigh up, and if you're a young fighter's manager, you've got to weigh up, right, do I go with a Matchroom, a Queensberry, whoever's connected to a DAZN, i.e. where the money is in broadcasting? Do I go there and maybe get paid more for some of my fights? Or do I maybe get paid a little bit less by going with a boxer on a BBC, but I've got the opportunity to become a household name, gain massive sponsorship deals, and maybe in 2-3 years' time of working on that platform and maybe creating content alongside the BBC, having some good fights and what have you, I'm a name of which then I can become a pay-per-view star.
Let me go even deeper. Everything you've said there, I resonate with, and it goes even deeper. Like young Fran Hennessy, who's had 6 fights on Sky. What's on her bucket list? To be on Strictly Come Dancing. Now, if you are 4 times on the BBC over the next 12 months, which is what I believe they're going to do.
It's an easy transition, isn't it?
It's an easy transition. You become a darling of the British public. You're on a Saturday night on prime time.
Well, you have a career after boxing then.
And you have it, but you're like you say, what you're choosing is
it's a longer game.
A fan base with the British public. And if you... A Ben Whittaker could easily become big with the British public. And Adam Azim could become big with the British. A Callum Simpson, a Lauren Price, who's already won a gold medal in the Olympics. People really know who she is. So Caroline Dubois, all of these guys and girls could easily develop well. So in some senses, and I spoke to Ben Shalom privately about this yesterday as well, some things that weren't discussed on the show, which is all the shoulder programming of press conferences, weigh-ins are all going to be shown on the BBC iPlayer. There's going to be a lot on BBC Sounds.
Yeah.
A few years back, I was involved with the BBC iPlayer with Bellator, and that was a historic deal. We didn't do enough shoulder programming at the time. What they need to do, and I think they will, because they're a young, vibrant organisation, and they've just come away from 5 years with Sky Sports, and my guesstimate is that £35 million went into those 5 years from the broadcasters with the promoters. That's my guesstimate, okay? I don't know, I can't say because Sky don't reveal their figures, but 5 to 6 to 7 million a year was being spent around these promotions. They did a great job. They built a stable.
Considerably less.
He's got to move quickly now and get all those guys onto the BBC and sell them that, or give that upsell that we're talking about, which is, look how good the BBC is going to be for you. Look how big the platform can be for you. The British public will know you. 16 million people subscribe to the iPlayer, for example, alone.
Yes.
As long as that's driven in the right way, we've got a competitive market with DAZN, with Queensberry Matchroom and Ben Shalom and Boxer taking it in that direction, and we can still call it boxing on network TV, on terrestrial TV, and that's a great thing. And obviously that's mirrored in the US at the moment, with ESPN and Top Rank not renewing their deal this summer, and they need to find a requisite broadcaster that pushes them.
To Dana White and his boys, aren't they, at TKO?
Well, ESPN are, but we're a Top Rank.
Yes,
we don't want to lose them from the mix.
Of course.
Bob Arum is too clever, too powerful, too knowledgeable. The library's too big. Xander Zayas has just become a world champion.
Yep.
The Puerto Rican market is very important. All those things. I think it's a kind of sequentially sideways movement hearing this about BBC and boxing and back in boxing. I think there's a lot of learning to do, and I hope the advisors are right around it. But if they get it right, Adam, could be a really good thing.
Yeah. Also, the platforms that this is going to be broadcast on is going to be important as well. I'm led to believe, and I hope I'm wrong, because I hope that the main channel, the flagship channel of BBC One, is featured at certain points throughout the course of this. I believe that there'll be stuff that is shown on BBC Two, BBC Three, and iPlayer. Again, all these are positives because the amount of coverage that these fighters can get is only a positive thing. And I think Gareth's absolutely right. Yes, the fights are important. You've got to get the right fights for the entertainment factor. But I think the BBC and entering boxing and working with Boxer, there's an opportunity here to tell stories, to tell narratives, to create people falling in love with these athletes with the shoulder programming that they go and create. So the likes of the Caroline Dubois, the likes of the Adam Azims, it's not just about the fight come Saturday night. It's about telling their story over a period of time. Create reality TV shows that exist on the iPlayer. So when people are floating around and they're looking for their EastEnders or they're looking for the Gavin and Stacey, oh, what's this? Oh, right, let's have a look at it. And you click on it and away you go. And you might then come back to watch the fight on a Saturday.
And the funny thing is, at the moment, there's been a shift. You know me, I love a backstory. I love the backstory of a fighter.
Which you probably do as well.
But at the moment, what we've had a shift in the boxing world about, and you and I talk about it every time we're together. We're talking about the business of boxing a lot at the moment. Yeah, because of the way it is. We've stopped telling the stories. I was talking to Mel Tomaglio, who works for Top Rank, Melissa, Tyson Fury's PR lady. We were talking about this the other day in a private conversation about how the narrative of telling people's backstories has kind of just gone away from the sport a little bit, and it's time to bring it back. Because we are talking about the business of boxing.
That's what people buy into.
They really buy, and the mainstream buys into that because they're fascinated as to why these people fight, how it humanises them, and I think we're going to come back to that. And hopefully that's what the BBC will do with Boxer and the stable.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how that.
Yeah, very interesting.
I've according to Ben Shalom yesterday when he was on talkSPORT, they're going to move quite quickly. I think there'll be a show in the next couple of months that we can get excited about.
Heavyweights?
I believe that it will.
Go on, announce it.
Come on, man. They'll be ringing me tomorrow and causing all sorts.
They'll be texting you now, complaining about there's some big fights going to be announced anyway.
You know, I think they've got some good people on there, and I hope that they do sell that dream, and I hope that some of those fighters do stay with him.
Oh, me too, as well.
And they could genuinely become household names. It's down to them to perform. They've got to perform, and the content's got to be right.
Of all of those guys, if you were to pick a woman and a man, I think Fran Hennessy on the BBC or Lauren Price on the BBC or Caroline, in fact, all three of those.
They all work.
But Ben Whittaker on the BBC.
Adam Azim works.
As well, yeah, it's true. I wonder what Callum Simpson's going to do then.
Well, we'll talk to him in a minute because he's going to be on the show.
Good.
Series that we've just been speaking BBC, I think it's only fair to highlight the other broadcaster that's involved, obviously, in fight sports. The majority of boxing is on DAZN. And next Saturday, they're going to be bringing you 5 huge fights on one night of action. Unbeaten rising star Moses Otama taking on proven and dangerous Dillian White in a heavyweight showdown plus action. From Nick Bull, David Adelaide, Ray Ford and Filip Hrgovic. Don't miss it next Saturday, August 16th. Watch it only on DAZN. Time to speak to one of our favourites, a guy that just keeps on rising and rising and rising and picking up all the accolades. And who knows what's going to come next? Hopefully he's going to shed a little bit of light on that. It is the British super middleweight that is Callum Simpson. Callum, how are you, my man? You good?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you, mate. How are you?
Very well indeed, mate. Great to have you on the programme once again. Congratulations on your last performance.
Thank you very much, mate. Thank you.
Once again, in Barnsley, doing it in front of the home fans. Must be some buzz, that, mate. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm sure when you were a kid, you had a little bit of a dream of maybe kicking a football on that pitch, but now that you can have a scrap on there and stop people, that's even better, isn't it?
Mate, it's bigger than a dream come true. You know, if someone said to me a few years ago, you'd be fighting it up well, I would have thought they were crazy. Yeah, absolutely. To do it once for the British Commonwealth in front of 7,000 against Zach Chelly, and then to come back 10 months later and do it for the European, yeah, absolutely amazing, mate.
So what's the situation now, buddy, right? Because we've clocked the domestic game, we've clocked the Commonwealth game, we've clocked the European game. Now, I know there's a situation where the former European champion has kind of now been made mandatory for you in Saggio, but I'm sure you've got eyes on maybe those world honours. So what's the crack? What's next up for you?
Yeah, from what I've seen, I think Saggio's actually got a fight next month.
Is that the IBF Eliminator? Is that...
I don't know, mate. I don't know. I've seen he's got a fight next month, right. The end of, and also this month actually, end of August. I don't know who it's against. I don't know what it's for. But
right.
But yeah, for me, you know, we've got a rough date. We've got a few. Obviously, I can't tell you what date, but yeah, I'm very confident.
Why?
I'm going to be.
What's up with you? Come on, man.
Come on. I like to give you an exclusive, but not that exclusive. Yeah, you know, I'm very confident I'm going to be out before the end of this year. A very good fight. But yeah, you know, I'm at a position now where I've won the British, Commonwealth, European. You know, I've still got a lot of learning to do and a lot of the more experience I can get before I go for a world title, the better for me. You know, I'm not saying I'm the finished product. I believe, you know, that I will be world level. But yeah, I just want the the best fights available for me at the minute.
Ben Whittaker's someone we know you're chasing. Hamza Shiraz is out there. There's a certain Saul Canelo Alvarez.
Yes.
If you go on and he goes on, if he goes on long enough for you to reach the pinnacle with him, is he someone that you sometimes dream about bringing to a big stadium in the UK?
Yeah, of course it is. That, you know, growing up watching Canelo, you know, even from when he first fought Mayweather, and I was grown as from the super middleweight, obviously the king of boxing at the minute, the main guy in boxing. You know, I did an interview probably 2.5 years ago when I first signed with Boxer, and you know, and saying, oh yeah, I'd love to fight Canelo Oakwell, just joking, you know, just laughing it off, just joking, and then
Manifest.
But there were loads of people saying, oh, he'll never fight Oakwell, never mind Canelo, and we've gone back to Oakwell twice. So, you know, who knows next year? You know, I keep winning. Canelo beats Crawford. Who knows? Let's get it on at Oakwell. Get it sold out.
Canelo versus Simpson on the BBC on a Saturday night. Could that happen?
Definitely. Followed by match of the day.
Yes. And maybe Barnes will get promoted in that time as well, mate, and then they could get, you know what I mean, get all that sorted.
Would you imagine? And then I'll be on Strictly at end of year.
There you go, you're flying, lad.
So from these things you're saying, we've just been speaking about the new deal for Ben Shalom and going into the detail. I covered the BBC and Audley Harrison 25 years ago, young man. Does that, are you suggesting then with all these things, Strictly, BBC, that you are going to stay with Boxer?
For me, it's absolutely massive what the BBC is a platform. It's the biggest public broadcaster. The views, I feel like on Sky Sports, it's, you know, you've got your boxing fans, your football fans, whereas for BBC, like my grandma will be flicking through channels, she'll drop on it. You know, the views are, I think we're going to go from like hundreds of thousands to millions of views. And again, it's not just the BBC Two, BBC Three or iPlayer. You know, it's all the big shows that come with BBC. You know, they've obviously got the match of the day. Again, Strictly, the One Show, BBC News. But again, and I think these days, boxing, like I've just been listening to you guys for a few minutes before, it's not just about being a good boxer anymore. You can't just. We've gone to the times where like you could fight every weekend, whether you've got a loss or you fight every month, whether you've got a loss, it doesn't matter, you fight again. There's so much now into marketing, into the person as a personal brand, and I think BBC is the perfect platform to kind of build that. Again, you've got your coverage over your iPlayer, your BBC radio. Again, for me, it's the biggest. Well, again, it's not just me saying it. My opinion, it's the biggest public broadcaster in the UK. And I think I've seen a stat somewhere that it reaches 99.9% of the population, 50 million adults. It reaches in the UK, which is, there's no other broadcaster that are doing those numbers anywhere near those numbers. And I think again, for boxing, it's a historical announcement, and it's massive, it's huge. And again, for the fighters that want to build themselves as a boxer, build the brand, it's got everything for us. So
we'll see you on MasterChef on a Tuesday. We'll see you doing Strictly Come Dancing maybe just before you have a scrap on a Saturday night, and then who knows what, maybe a cameo in EastEnders, mate. You fancy that?
We could do. The thing is, you know me as well, I'm up for everything. I've already been on phone to Boxer PR saying I want to be on this. When am I on BBC Calendar News? Am I on tomorrow? You know, let me know. Let me know.
I think the key thing is, Callum, it's a wonderful opportunity, isn't it? As you've rightfully pointed out there, the platform is absolutely gigantic. I think for every boxing fan, we should be excited that more boxing is going to get into more households, and hopefully that then creates more fans who want to come out and watch the stuff. Ultimately, and listen, the opportunities are there for a personality like yours, but ultimately it is going to come down to the fighting, and you are in a great position that you're a fan-friendly fighter. You put on displays that fans want to actually buy a ticket for and come out and get behind. And that's going to be key, isn't it? To be able to get the right fights on the platform on a Saturday night. So when they have, I don't know, maybe checked in on your reality TV show on the iPlayer and they've fallen in love with you, they actually come back to the fight on Saturday and they get to see you in a proper fight, in a proper display, of which then makes them just keep coming back to the sport.
Yeah, exactly. And I think for any boxer, all we want is to get the best opportunities for us, the best available fights for us, and to get paid properly for it as well.
Yeah.
And I believe that's what's going to continue happening with boxing and the BBC. And yeah, like you said, I've got a very fan-friendly style, maybe a bit too fan-friendly. I've been told by my coach, but you know, when I watch boxing, I like to I like to watch my style of fight, or my style of boxing, my fight. You know, I fight that's just my style. People can say whatever they want about my talent. They might say I'm not world level talent or boxing ability, but I've got world level heart. I've got world level engine, conditioning, and that's what sets me apart from the rest as well.
How is Daniela, who I know, about you talking about going on Strictly then?
She's all right. She's actually in background. She's been taking a few videos. How do you feel, Daniela?
It's great.
She thinks it's
Saturday
great.
night out, isn't it?
She thinks it's great and can't wait to watch me on Strictly. We've actually done a little salsa. We went to St. Lucia earlier this year.
Oh, yeah.
You got engaged, didn't you?
Yes, we did. We got engaged in
Congratulations
St.
to the
Lucia.
pair of you, mate.
Thank you very much. And we did a little salsa class together.
Can you do a little dance for us now or not?
I can't, and Daniela definitely can't.
Oh, okay. So
she definitely can't.
You shouldn't be
Definitely
saying that because this is your almost
Audition.
like rehearsal for
Strictly.
getting on Strictly. So yes, you can. Is the other thing
Sorry,
about
yeah. I can't.
the other thing about you is obviously you're from Barnsley, and you
Barnsley,
are
that's
becoming
it.
one of the most famous people in Barnsley because Brian Glover's from Barnsley, isn't he?
Yes, yeah. I was actually went to
Actor and wrestler.
Barnsley's game today. The second game at season. The 1-3-1, big game, big up Connor Orahan doing big things for Barnsley, and yeah, just going around there on the pitch, it's like I'm a local hero as such, but I'm just a normal. Like people are, how can you've got so much time for everybody? How come you?
That's why it works. That's why it works, mate. That's why it works because
It's crazy because for me, I'm just one of you guys. Like I've been going to a few schools, obviously before they broke up, going to my old primary school, my old secondary school, and seeing the kids and just letting them know that someone who's come from where you've come from, walked through the same halls as you, worn the same uniform, can go on to achieve the dreams. There's no reason why they can't either. And 1 minute they see me ringside for Eubank Ben fight, and the next day they see me in Lidl in Barnsley. So, I'm like, what are you doing here? So yeah, but it's nice to obviously still be to get recognised in Barnsley and hopefully inspire some people in Barnsley as well. Yeah,
you've earned that, mate. I know that Gareth was alluding to the super fights in the future. The Canelo's the dream one and all that. Recently, a recent addition to your weight division is obviously Hamza Shiraz. I know that Gareth mentioned his name a month or two ago. What did you make of his performance against Edgar Belanda a couple of weeks ago?
Yeah, he did good. He did good. Obviously, I only saw the knockout highlight. I don't really see too much, but obviously that was a great performance from him. Great performance.
From a British fan point of view, and I know that politics gets in the way sometimes of these fights with broadcast deals and all this type of stuff. That, for me, at some point would be an absolute super fight between you two from a British fan point of view. You've just said that you're constantly underestimated, and I agree with you. I think people do underestimate you, but you've ticked off British. That's a difficult thing to do. Commonwealth's difficult. Europeans even more difficult. The next step is a world-level fight, mate, and that, for me, makes an awful lot of sense. Definitely, and I don't know if he's in line to fight Canelo or what's going on there, but I've made clear since Hamza moved up to super middleweight, that's the fight that I want, that's a fight that I love, and a fight that I'd welcome. I've told Boxer, I've told my management, I've told my team that that's a fight that if they can make the fight, let's make it. But I'm just jumping in here. And does Frank Warren allow Hamza Shiraz to fight him on the BBC as opposed to on DAZN? So there's all the fascinating kind of like the ins and outs, the politics of it. If they want big exposure and views, then he does, yeah. Listen, we're in a good place. Fights are actually starting to get made, aren't we? And obviously with Turkey Al-Sheikh in the mix as well. Fingers crossed we can get that. There is one more other fighter that I'd just like to throw your way, potentially in the future. And it's Chris Eubank Jr. Yes. Because we know that November the 15th, we're heading towards a middleweight fight with him and Conor. I personally would have loved him to have gone back up to 168 and cracked on with his career there. And then that would have maybe set up something with yourself at some point. Listen, I know this is a daft question, but I'm assuming that is a fight that you would absolutely lick your chops for. Yeah, again, another fight that I've told Ben, Boxer, that I want if we can make it happen. And it's, I'm not going to be naive and silly thinking that because Eubank's such a big name, he's a massive star. There's no reason for him to be fighting me. Like, if I was him, I'd stay by the way. But yeah, there's no reason for him to be fighting me. But again, I'm ranked 4th in the IBF, and we push on for world titles hopefully next year. So if the fight's there to be made, definitely another fight that I love. Superb. Listen, mate, I'm looking forward to the reality show on the iPlayer. I'm looking forward to your...
The salsa between Daniela and Callum.
Absolutely. Absolutely that. and maybe a little bit of MasterChef as well, mate. So get practicing in the kitchen. All right,
Will
pal?
do, mate. I will do.
Great stuff.
Listen,
Nice one,
superstar.
guys.
I'm looking forward to the announcement of the date as well.
Yeah,
and
wicked,
obviously
mate.
getting you on the BBC. Take care, mate.
Cheers, Cal.
See you, guys. Thank
Cheers.
There
See
you go. Callum Simpson is ticking every box at the moment in the super middleweight division, and what an opportunity for him, because he has got the personality that will carry
Always had it.
on the BBC, and he can fight as well.
Absolutely.
So keep an eye out for that.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.